Hello everybody, welcome back. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I hope you're enjoying the season. Chicken just ditched me. Rusty's asleep down there still. It's like his new favorite little spot. It's so cute. Anyway, hi, welcome back to another video. If you're seeing this, it's a few days before Christmas. So if you celebrate that, Merry Christmas. If you don't, Happy Holidays. If you don't celebrate anything, happy time of the year. I hope you're having a good day, I guess. And it also means that I am in New Zealand visiting my family and friends. So I wanted to talk this week about my favourite holiday traditions, I guess I'll call it. Things that we did growing up, things that Mark and I do now, like just things that make Christmas for me, you know. That is, thank you, loud car. You're not even cool, you're ugly. So if you know me in person, I love Christmas. It's my favourite time of the year now. I'm not a big decorator. I'm also not a huge gift giver. I do like to give gifts, but I don't go like all out and buy for like every person I know or anything like that. But I love Christmas. I love the holiday season purely for me because it means I get to be with my people, whether that is having a little like Friendsmas, which me and my friends back in New Zealand did start doing a couple of times. It was something I always look forward to, going to spend like a lunch or an afternoon or something with them, and of course seeing my family and Mark's family. Now last year we did stay in Australia for Christmas. It was just Mark and I all by ourselves, and while it was kind of nice to have like a bit of us time after being apart for so long, it was definitely the roughest Christmas of my life, because for me Christmas is just about being with my people, being with my family. It is like, I can't even articulate right now how much it means to me, and how much of like you know when you can't explain because it's a feeling, not a word. That's me, that's Christmas. So I thought, I am lucky enough to be back with my family this year, thank God. But I wanted to talk about things that kind of made Christmas growing up for me and as an adult, especially since Mark and I are a childless household, how we kind of keep the Christmas spirit alive and what we do to kind of make the time of year or the day so big for us. I would love, first of all, before I even get into any of my traditional things, I would love it if you guys could leave in the comments something that you did growing up that you always remember, or even something that you still do that makes Christmas, something that you do every year, something that you remember really fondly, something that brings you those warm, fuzzy feelings. Please put it in the comments because I love this kind of stuff and I would love to read what you do. Okay, so growing up, we're gonna start here, and I feel comfortable talking about this because I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations will have run out by now. Also, not technically illegal, just frowned upon. My mum, my beautiful, beautiful mother, was always adamant that we would have a real Christmas tree for the longest time, for my entire childhood. Had to be a real Christmas tree, and she had to have it on the first day of December. So that's just that was the rule in our house. And the reason I say not illegal, just frowned upon, because sometimes, yes, we would go and get it from like a Christmas tree farm or something like that, maybe once or twice. But what we would typically do is go driving out in the country, somewhere in the back roads, middle of nowhere, until you find a little pine tree growing on the road. Now that is very important, not on anybody's land. Do not trespass. Not cool. But tiny little pine tree growing on the side of the road, and we would drop my brother off and drive away. And he would saw down the tree, and 5 minutes or so later we would swing back past where we were pretty sure we dropped him off, and we would find him and huck him and the tree into the back of the car. No, we did not have a ute or a truck or whatever you want to call it. I'm talking my mum's little like 1990 something red Ford, and we'd lay down all the seats and we'd put my brother in the car and the tree on top of him, and we would drive the fuck home with our free tree. Illegal? Technically no, because we didn't steal from anybody's land. Frowned upon, most likely, but it was fun. It wasn't hurting anybody. And that is very, very much what I remember doing growing up. It was our tradition for a few years at least. I do remember getting some from like Christmas tree farms and things like that, but there were a few years where my poor brother was the sacrifice and he would have to do all the hard yards while the rest of us just laughed at him. So that was literally the 1st of December. Every year there had to be a tree in our house. It did not matter how it got there. My nose is so itchy. It's gonna be so red. Another thing my parents always did was they let us open up a gift on Christmas Eve. Now, it was never one of our main gifts. It was always like something small. It could just be like pajamas or a little toy or something like that. Not one of the big guys, you know, but they always let us do that, and that is something that I have carried on in my household for forever, and I always will as long as I can. But we always had some sort of little gift to open on Christmas Eve, and I think it's because you sit there through the whole of December and we would get so antsy and so ready, and my mum would always just let us have this like little taste of what Christmas would be like the next day, and I think it kind of helped us go to bed and feel a little bit of satisfaction and not like I'm gonna get up at 1 a.m. and go and tear that shit open because technically it's Christmas. Although don't get me wrong, I've always had those thoughts and I still do as an adult. Actually, growing up, one of my brothers was banned from like the Christmas tree, from being around the Christmas tree, because he would feel all of our presents and he had this like uncanny ability to guess what the present was and be right. And my mum got so sick of it that she was like, you are banned. No more touching the presents because you're telling everybody what they're getting. Now, we also weren't allowed to open gifts until everybody was awake. I feel like this is a rule in everybody's household, like not necessarily just like a tradition or anything in mine, but like I feel like it was a pretty general rule that everybody had to be together to open their gifts. And I remember one year I had to go and wake up my sister because everybody was awake, and me and my sister used to not get along very well, although we do now, love you. And I had to go and wake her up because I was the impatient little shit that really wanted to open my presents, and she was hung over as fuck. Now there's 8 years between me and my sister, so imagine me being like, I don't know, 8, 9, I don't know, I don't remember how old I was, but I remember her being not very fucking thrilled to be woken up at like 6 a.m. on Christmas morning. Love you, Denny. My parents also like instigated a rule that was like we couldn't wake them up before a certain time, and my brain's kind of telling me 7 a.m, but that might not be right. Because what we would do is my parents had like the gifts under the tree, and then we each had like a Santa sack as well, and what we would do is, or what I would do, I think a lot of my siblings moved out well, actually all of my siblings did move out relatively young, but I have memories of me and my mum, because for a while it was just me and my mum at home, and she would do me a stocking, and I'd like get up and I'd wait until about 7. This is when I'm a little bit older, obviously, and I would grab my stocking and I would go to her in bed, and we would sit in her bed, and I'd open up all of like my little gifts that were in my stocking, and it was never anything like, these aren't the big gifts. They were supposed to be the gifts that were from Santa. So we're talking like new underwear, new socks, like chocolates and lollies, maybe like a little toy here and there. Had to cut myself off there because I was about to say something, and I don't know who watches my videos and I don't want to ruin anybody's Christmas, so. I do remember one year, it was about 3 or 4 a.m. I think, and I was up. I was ready to go. And I'm just like sitting in my bed. You know, I was probably about 7. Jay chilling, waiting until the sun rose, waiting until one of my brothers came to get me to tell me, okay, it's time, we're allowed up and it's present time. But my dad used to be a firefighter, and he got a call out this morning, Christmas morning. And I heard him get up and I heard him leave, and my mum also got up, and I was like, this is my ticket. Everybody's awake, right? So we can start real early. So I got my ass out there and was like, hey ma, I'm up. No, it wasn't like that. I wasn't that cool back then. But I was like, hey, I'm awake. And my mum was like, okay, well, no one else is, and I sure as fuck ain't waking him up. So go back to bed. Me, I think this is unfair as hell, okay? Because I'm up, you're up. Why can't we get going? But no, unfortunately, my mother is a good parent and told me I was not allowed to wake my 3 siblings up, but we did have a bit of compromise, and she showed me that I was getting a bike for Christmas. and I remember her putting me on it, and we had like our lounge and kitchen connected with a wall in between, and I was allowed to ride it around there just one time. And she said to me, okay, now you have to go back to bed, go back to sleep, because otherwise you're going to be grumpy. Don't tell anyone, you know, this can be our little secret. You can wake up with the rest of the kids and you got to act excited. You got to like pretend this is the first time you're seeing your bike. Don't let them know you're up this early in the morning. And that's like, I don't know why that memory stuck in my head for so long. I think it's because that bike was the bike I actually learned to ride without training wheels on, and it was like pink and purple and it had tassels on it, and bro, that bike was the shit. Moving on to like, as I've become an adult and what Mark and I do in our house now. Now, I did say, and obviously you guys know if you watch my content, Mark and I are a child-free house. So there's me and him and our 2 cats. And the last couple years we have actually been with, like, we've had people with us. But, you know, what are our traditions? What do we do in a house of just 2 people? You know, so obviously we do still do the opening a gift on Christmas Eve. I do make sure that we have our like main gifts for each other, and usually I just kind of go out and buy something little for each of us, even if it's just like a box of favorites, a box of chocolate, something like that. Wrap it up, pop it under the tree, and then we open it on Christmas Eve and just kind of enjoy it together. But what I do really like doing is we spoil the cats on Christmas Eve night. And it's just as fun. Like, if we don't open something for ourselves, that's fine, it's okay. I do like to do that if I can, but I prefer now to spoil my cats, because yes, I buy my cats Christmas presents. They each have a stocking and it hangs on the wall, and they actually have their own Christmas tree as well. It's about a foot tall, and I decorate it and everything. It's got its own set of decorations, all that kind of stuff. I actually don't know if I have it anymore, but that's what we used to do in New Zealand. It was this cute little tree, and it would go by their bowls and they'd have their stockings. I'd fill them all up, and then on Christmas Eve we'd get all of these new toys and treats and sometimes little like outfits or something out, and just spend half an hour or an hour just spoiling the crap out of the cats. And that's because I love to see them happy, but Christmas Day is so busy. It can be so overwhelming, so fast paced, you know, and sometimes the pets do get a little bit left out or a little bit forgotten about. And because we always go out, so we're either going out for breakfast and brunch, and then we go out again for dinner, and we stay out overnight. So a lot of Christmas Day, our cats just kind of used to chill and hang out by themselves, you know. I think last Christmas when we were home was really nice because we actually got to spoil them for the whole day and spend the whole day with them and just spend it as a family, like our little family unit, which was nice. But something we do tend to do is just spoil the shit out of them on Christmas Eve. That's their little moment, their little time that we all spend together, and then feels a little bit less guilty when we have to go out on Christmas Day, or if we do end up leaving in a rush, you know they're not forgotten. Mark and I do have a fake Christmas tree at the moment. I brought one last Christmas. Not a huge fan of it, but I just wanted to put something up. I do still prefer to have a real Christmas tree, and I actually found out a few years ago that Mark had never had a real Christmas tree, and once I found that out, no way, we're not doing fake trees in this house anymore. So luckily, a couple of people that Mark used to work with, some of our friends, have started their own like Christmas tree farms. So for about 4 years since they started it, we went there every weekend. I'm not quite as insane as my mother. I don't have to have it on the 1st of December. I do like to have my tree up by the first weekend of December. So we would always go, we'd pick out our tree, cut it down, catch up with our friends and their dog who hangs out at the Christmas tree farm. It's just the cutest little thing. Anyway, we'd go and get our tree, bring it home, set it up, and Mark and I always put our tree up and decorate our tree while listening to Michael Bublé. It's a thing. We're a Michael Bublé house. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I love Michael Bublé, especially his Christmas music. Other things that kind of just make my Christmas, and I'm sure you guys have this as well, I've spoken about it in another video, is the food. Now, I'm not a big, like, you have to do a 5-star 3-course thing. We usually are at my brother's. Actually, by usually I mean literally always, apart from last year. we're at my brother's and we do a barbecue that he cooks. My sister makes her amazing potato salad and my mum makes an ambrosia, which are two of my favorite things in the entire world, and Christmas is the only time that I get to have them. And Mark, for the last I think 2 years that we were in New Zealand, did a pulled venison because we did used to hunt like a lot of our own meat back in New Zealand, and he would do like a slow cooker pulled barbecue venison that we did one time as a bit of a trial and everybody loved it. So I think we took that for about the last 2 or 3 years that we were in New Zealand. So for me, it's sort of slotted into that Christmas food sort of deal. So there's the potato salad, ambrosia, and pulled venison. They're kind of just like staples in my mind when I think of Christmas. When I was growing up, my mum and I would always make chocolate dipped strawberries and marshmallows, which is super simple, very easy to do, but again, it's one of those things that sticks in my mind because of the nostalgia behind it. I don't even like marshmallows. I'm a little bit traumatized when it comes to marshmallows, to be honest, but that's a story for another day. But it was the time that I got to spend with my mum, helping her set up for Christmas, because, you know, especially when you're young, sometimes there's not a lot you can actually do in terms of like decorating and shopping and cooking and all that. But my mum would always, without fail, let me help her with the chocolate dipped strawberries and marshmallows. And I feel like she knew she didn't have to be there to help me do them because they're so simple, but she needed to be there to make sure I didn't eat all of them as I went, because guilty. My nose. This is me like all spring, summer, everywhere, every time. It's my life. Also, the last few years, I'm not sure if you'd call this a tradition because it's only really just started and it was sort of by accident, but I've really enjoyed it. So the last Christmas that we were in New Zealand, we finished the night at about midnight, 1 a.m. All of me and my siblings and Mark were curled up on their couch. They've got this big like sectional couch, and we put on snippets from like Cops and just watched it for like literally an hour and a half, just like laughing at dumb stuff. And I think that was probably like the best way to end the night, is just like hanging out with the people you love and just doing something dumb, like watching something really stupid on TV that has like no consequence or anything, just something that's like wholesome. That's the kind of stuff that I love and that I remember. And then last year, to end our Christmas, Mark and I watched Under Paris. It was going big on TikTok at the moment, I think, and I wanted to know what all the fuss was about it. So we put it on, we pulled our mattress out into the lounge room actually, which was really fun. And I think when we get our place, that might be like a new thing. That might be a new tradition that's building for the holiday season, sleeping in the lounge. We'll see how that one works out. But we watched Under Paris. Absolutely ridiculous movie, by the way. The acting in it is not bad, but the storyline just... Anyway, so I think that's kind of like turning into something for me. We'll see what happens this year, because I am going to be with my family and I'm so excited. But like maybe just ending the night with watching something really stupid, whether it's like fails or a bad movie or something just to wind down, spend time together before you go to sleep. That is something that I have just really enjoyed for the last 2 years. So if I can make that a new like acting tradition, I think I totally will, because it was great. It's been fun and it's nice to just turn your brain off, I think, after such a long day like Christmas Day, because let's all admit it, it's a great day, it's a fun day, it's all that, but it's also very long and can be very draining. And if you're in New Zealand or Australia, it's also usually hot as shit. I think the last thing that I really like that my family does on Christmas, and this is just, I was gonna say just a thing, and I think it is. It's just like, for as long as I can remember, at least in my life, we have always made sure that we are all together on Christmas. Everybody who matters turns up on Christmas. That's the rule. If you're a part of this family, you're there. And the same goes for Boxing Day morning, because my mum's birthday is Boxing Day. So something that we always typically do is we stay over at my brother's, because my brother always hosts dinner. Thank you, Jason and Irene. Love you guys. So we always go to their place for dinner. We stay overnight, and in the morning, it's mum's birthday. So you eat all of your Christmas leftovers, and you give her her gifts because it's separate. Boxing Day and Christmas Eve birthdays are separate. If you lump them together and celebrate them all together, we can't be friends. I'm sorry. But yeah, there was this one year that we actually got her like a cake. So we all had cake for breakfast, and then we went out into town and had a breakfast at like a cafe, like a little brunch thing. It was so nice. I'd never been to that cafe before, and also never done anything like that on Boxing Day. And then we took my mum to the arcade, which is so fun. And we bought her like her own card and just like all loaded it with money and just let her go wild in this arcade, because it's not something she would usually do, but it was so cool to just go as a family, and we all had fun. But like watching her have fun and just be a little bit like a kid, we put her on a VR roller coaster with my nephew. And if you know my mum is terrified of heights, so we put her on this like roller coaster where like the seat moves and it blows air and you're wearing like the full VR mask, so it's like the immersive experience. And she was screaming so loud that like passers-by were asking us if she was okay, and all of us must have looked like terrible children because we were just cracking up laughing at this poor woman who was not having a great time. Actually, she was having a great time, but she was a bit frightened. And my poor nephew who was sitting next to her, she was like clutching him a little bit, and he's just having the time of his life, you know. So just stuff like that. If you can't tell, I'm a huge family person. Family means the absolute world to me, and Christmas is my one time of year where we're just all together as much as we can be, you know. So I guess that's my last sort of traditional thing, is that we're all together for Christmas, and we're all together for at least this morning portion of my mum's birthday, because my mum is the person who, you know, she was the one who made Christmas so special for us growing up as kids. And I think pretty much all mums are the same. Obviously, you've got some amazing dads out there as well, but I'm just saying in my case. And the last thing I just want to say is just, it's not like a tradition or anything, but it's the way that I was brought up. And it's something that I'm really thankful for, because like, luckily, none of my friends had to take advantage of this, and you'll understand that in a minute. But we were raised that in our house, everyone is always welcome. So at Christmas especially, if you have nowhere to go, if you are alone, if you're not feeling it, if you're a friend of ours or a friend of the family, you are welcome. Christmas has always been for everyone, and there have been Christmases where it's just us, and it's just like me and my 4 siblings and my mum, and that's fine. But then there's been Christmases where it's all of my cousins and all of their partners and someone's friend who was just sitting at home, and there's like 40 people, you know, your neighbour from across the road is there as well. It's just, that's how I was raised. And while it's not a tradition, it is something that I've always been thankful for, because I knew that, you know, if one of my friends texted me and said, I'm sitting at home, I'm doing nothing, I'm having a really terrible Christmas, there was absolutely no hesitation in my mind that I could say, come over because you're welcome in our house. And I would love to think that Mark and I's house is the same. Yeah. That's how I want my house to be. That's how my house is. So while we're here in Australia and we don't really know anybody, and we don't really have any friends that would be in that situation as of current, working on that. Yeah, our house was always an open house, and my brother's house is very, very similar. Like, you never know what family's going to turn up or who's going to be there, and I love that. I love not knowing who's going to be there at Christmas, you know. It's good. It's wholesome. But yeah, that's my my ramble on my Christmas tradition, on my happy holiday memories and things like that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you have something to add to my comments, whether it's a tradition or a story or laughing at me or threatening to call the cops on the amount of Christmas trees we stole. Like I said, statute of limitations, it's definitely run out. That's it. I'm gonna go. I'm going to hopefully be enjoying my trip back to New Zealand right now, be spending time with my friends and my family. And I will see you guys next week, because I'm not skipping any uploads over the Christmas and New Year period. They are all pre-filmed, because a lot of my content is pre-filmed, so that I don't have to stress and you guys don't have to miss out. So I will see you in video form next week, 7 a.m. Brisbane time on Sunday as always. Please, if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you don't, happy holidays. Otherwise, have a good day, have a good week. Hopefully you get some time off work. Spend time with people you love, spend time with your animals, and please, more than anything else, just be safe. That's all that matters this holiday season. I will see you next week.